So you've been painting for over 30 years, I believe.
Yes, I started when I was 38,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd been in 3 other classical arts and highly trained in um, 18 years of classical piano. And then from there, I became a dancer, which was what I really wanted to be, but my parents said no. So they wanted me to sit still, and I wanted to jump around. So I took dance later. And then I got into modeling on the runway and integrated dance and modern dance and jazz and a little ballet. So I was not young enough to go the whole route on the dance, but I got it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I went to New Zealand when I turned, well, it was in 1969, 70. And I went back to college for 2 years, and I was thinking of being a therapist. And so I got training there. It was kind of a natural one because I'm really interested in humanity at a very deep level.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to New Zealand, and one day I was walking around Christchurch, and I spotted a spinning wheel. And I went nuts. My entire life changed in about 3 minutes, and I kid you not. I came back to Vancouver, and I bought an Indian spinning wheel, which I still have. And long story short, I learned how to spin in 6 hours because I just loved it, and the potential of a thread, which I carried out. And I am part Indian, speaking of being natural at it, and I more and more discovered that Indian nature is really in me. So anything that's made from the earth is where my passion has been, and right from the time I was born.
Cool. Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I mean, so if you look back on all those achievements in your life, that's a lot of different mediums you've expressed yourself with.
Yeah.
Is there any major standout moments in that
Well,
career?
that one that I just mentioned, because it was the very first time that I chose what I wanted, not the world or my family.
Okay.
So it was really my heart and my soul. And so I had 4 years of training as a weaver and learned all about chemical and natural dyes and all different traditions from Peru and Hawaii. I went up to Haleakala. I lived over in Maui for a number of years part-time, and the natives took me up there and taught me all about nature dyes, and we spun outside and all of these things. So that was about a 4-year thing, and then I had to go off on my own. I didn't want to hear about anybody else's teachings, and I became a high fashion designer. So my work eventually got around the world. I had a major show at Neiman Marcus, and could have really made a name there, but when people want to start making you produce the same thing, then it's not art anymore. And so I had many shows, many high-end boutiques, and I only do one of a kind in my clothing, and so it was art. And that's what I did for the next few years. And then all of a sudden one day, I'm sitting there spinning, and I'm going to become the greatest painter I can possibly be.
And when was that?
I was 38. I had never even drawn a cat or a dog. It just came into me. Mm-hmm. And my whole life changed again. And again, I really think it's because when you are ornate, you go into your essence and not something superficial. Because my life, I've trained myself to go within to get the answers, not out. So I go from in to out, not out to in, because that's copying. Mm-hmm. I listen to the heart and the soul. And so I discovered the painting, and I decided also not to get trained this time. This was going to be Diana's journey, not listening to other people's techniques, ideas, or anything.
Just totally from with you and
within me.
yeah.
And I allowed it to be discovered. And I threw paint, and I tried every medium, and I worked and worked. And in the first 5 years of discovery, I developed my first style. I think you and I talked about that a little bit today, about the puzzles.
That's right, yeah.
And all of that unknown possibility, and that's how my brain is. So I don't like what I see, or I don't copy what is. I want to go way beyond to things that have not been discovered, or that I certainly haven't discovered. And so that's how I began that journey. And so in the first 5 years, I decided I didn't want to know anything about history in painting. I wanted to be that clean in listening to me. And in the first 5 years, I started to be compared to Kandinsky. And even today, somebody saw our poster,
Oh, yeah.
took one look at it, and said, "Wow, I'm coming to your show. You have a familiarity there of Kandinsky."
Oh, that's great.
So I thought that was really exciting because he saw that. And but I've been compared to some greats, but they're all dead, and it was nobody I knew because I chose not to be educated there. I wanted to come from a really clean, pure place in myself. So the first 5 years, I developed what I called a nature's whimsy style, and very intricate and just mind-blowing creatures and energy, and that developed, and I started selling right away. Didn't even try. And then another 5 years, and I discovered my puzzles, which have now turned into mosaics.
Full circle.
Full circle, that's right.
And, to bring back what you were saying about kind of exploring what hasn't been found yet inside of you, do you find that painting as a medium was, like I personally, I see painting as a really unhindered art form. You can really go anywhere with it. Did you use painting as a way to kind of get to that, get to that unexplored area inside you? How can I word this? Was painting more? Was it easier to get inside yourself with painting as opposed to like textiles or dancing?
Well, you know how when we're in school and we're usually trained in like formula, which is taught.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hand-down thing, but there's no real, in my opinion, there's technique, but there's no real creativity or passion. That's what's missing, because you can be a really good painter or weaver, but if there's not the essence of your passion and discovery and uniqueness, then I don't think you're an artist. That is very strong in me, and I've discovered that to be a truth. So, like, I went to the Academy of Realist Art after I had painted for 15 years because there was a teacher from Europe that taught face and figure. So the whole class was, let's emulate the teacher, and we'll all copy. Well, I learned one wonderful thing from him, and that was to learn how to see. Not see maybe what I wanted to see, but he taught me how to train myself to see the truth. What is. Like your eye is shaped in a certain way, and I wasn't allowed to conjure that in my way. So that was wonderful training, and that's the only training I've had in painting. So I think it's good when you are free to let you come out, and then if you need something along the way, you can direct yourself instead of just taking a bunch of courses, because that's what you're supposed to do. I don't do what I'm supposed to do. I go in here, and I do not follow any crowd. It's all, what does it feel like I need? So that was in the 10th year, the puzzles happened, and then they just became, people call them my masterpieces. And those two descriptions I just gave of my initial discovery in me took 10 years. And from there, then all the rest of my work has had that foundation to grow and to change and to add and to get bigger and stronger. And so those two fundamental things that I discovered in me that wanted to be expressed finally happened. So in the 14th year, I think it was, somewhere in there, I took that two scholarships I got for face and figure, because it wasn't that I was doing it to please other people. It's like I wanted to know I could do it. Then I could toss it aside, or I could use it depending on what I was feeling inside. So that's been my only training, and my work has just, I'm very prolific. I have about 2,000 pieces of work, and I quietly sold around the world in those years of discovery. And yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. No, now for your show on the 6th, what you've chosen paintings for to display? Are they from? Are they? Is there any theme for what you've chosen, or is there?
well, I'm very close to the moon on a daily basis, so, and it is the full moon that day, and the woman that saw my work at the bank said, please have a show here, and you can keep your work up as long as you feel. I thought that was lovely. And so she said, any theme? And I said, what about the moon? And that's how that happened. And so that's how it became a gift of the moon, because it is a gift in my life that the moon, I watch all energy from everywhere in the universe. And I've got a Cancer moon, so.
So that's kind of, so there's moon themed pictures that we'll see there.
A few.
Yeah. Okay.
I had shows I took from the bank, the Royal Bank, that's been displaying my work for a year and a half, and they rotate through the seasons. I took a few out of there. I took a few out of my home studio, and then the room is not that big, so I chose a few of my favorites. So there's a couple of moons around there, and I think that I counted. There's 10 fair-sized pieces. The biggest ones being 5 feet, and I don't think 5 feet by 4 feet, that kind of thing, and then a few small ones, and then other works that are smaller, including my fashion. That's going to be in the show too. I've got 10 pieces there that will go in. I never have I made a commitment years ago that when I was a designer for clothing, I would never, ever, ever make two of anything the same. I've made thousands, I've dressed thousands of people in these 40 years of being a weaver, and so I'm going to put 10 pieces in the show. And then I'm back to t-shirts again, only this time we're taking, instead of me doing them by hand like I did when I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico, I'm doing some, what's the word? Silk screening.
Yeah.
And they're paintings that I did 30 years ago. And I'm doing all nature in different ways and different styles of tops, and just creating a whole new line of t-shirts now with my major paintings on the t-shirts, and signed. I'm told I should sign them, so if people would like that.
So that's the first time you're doing that?
Well, I did it in New Mexico, but it was really a different thing then because of the computer age coming in since then.
Yeah.
I used to sell at the Hilton Hotel in Santa Fe and places like that, the Anthropology Museum. I put my cards, but do you know that I had a system that I devised to do cards all that time ago, and I did every one by hand.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
I know I'm like way out there when it comes to doing this stuff, and so this time I've got lots of cards, and they can be made into prints and all of that. So I'm going all the way this time with my discoveries in my work. Back then, it was part of the journey of who am I, how do I want to present myself, what feels pure and clean, and my right motive, because I won't do anything that doesn't feel like it's my essence. So that's how I discover what I'm going to show the world, because it's my truth.